Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. More than 100 Palestinians are reported to have been killed while waiting for aid to be delivered in northern Gaza. The Hamas-run health ministry blamed Israeli forces, and Palestinian media cited medical sources saying Israeli troops fired at the crowd. An Israeli military source said troops opened fire as they believed soldiers were endangered. An Israeli Defense Forces statement also said dozens were killed, being trampled and run over by trucks. The Hamas-run health ministry says more than 30,000 Palestinians have now been killed in Gaza since October the 7th. That number equates to about 1.3% of the 2.3 million population of the territory, the latest grim marker of the toll this war has taken. The ministry says that the majority of those killed were women and children. Its figures do not differentiate between civilians and fighters when identifying those killed. In its daily update, the ministry said 81 people had been killed in the last 24 hours, bringing the total to 30,035. Vladimir Putin has given his annual State of the Nation address 2 weeks before Russia's 2024 presidential election.
Россия готова к диалогу с Соединенными Штатами Америки по вопросам стратегической стабильности.
Putin warned that any deployment of Western troops in Ukraine would have tragic consequences. He claimed Western rhetoric threatened a conflict with the use of nuclear arms and consequently the destruction of civilization. The comments appear to respond to French President Macron, who earlier this week did not rule out sending Western soldiers to Ukraine. Cuba's government has, for the first time, asked the UN's food programme for help as food shortages on the communist-run island worsen. The World Food Programme said it had received an unprecedented official request from the Cuban government for help providing powdered milk to children under 7 years of age. The request is a sign of the seriousness of Cuba's economic crisis, as well as a shortage of milk, fuel and medicines are also running low. The WFP confirmed that it had been approached by the Cuban government to continue the monthly delivery of 1 kilogram of milk for girls and boys under the age of 7 throughout the country. A rapidly spreading Texas wildfire has killed 1 person, forced residents to evacuate, cut off power to homes and businesses, and briefly paused operations at a nuclear weapons facility. The second largest fire in Texas history, it has burned 850,000 acres of land north of the city of Amarillo. Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued a disaster declaration for 60 counties. Dry grass, high temperatures, and strong winds have fueled the fire. The Texas A&M Forest Service said that the winds had diminished slightly, helping to moderate the fire's spread.
With high winds behind it, I mean, these fires are just moving quicker than anybody can kind of get around at this point.
Officials say an opposition leader in Chad has been killed during a shootout with security forces. Yaya Dillo's death comes after the government blamed him for a deadly attack on the country's security agency. He denied the accusation. Mr. Dillo is a vocal opponent of his cousin, President Mahamat Deby, who has been in power since 2021. Mr. Deby succeeded his father, who was killed by rebels after 3 decades in power. And San Francisco will vote next week on a divisive ballot measure that would authorize police to use surveillance cameras, drones, and AI-powered facial recognition as the city struggles to restore a reputation tarnished by street crime and drugs. The Safer San Francisco initiative, formerly called Proposition E, is championed by Mayor London Breed, who believes disgruntled citizens will approve the proposal on Tuesday. Breed, who is running for re-election in November, played down the potential for abuse under the ballot measure, saying safeguards are in place.
So I get that people are concerned about privacy rights and other things, and technology is all around us. San Francisco is the artificial intelligence capital of the world. I mean, we have the top 8 of 20 of the top 20 companies in the world right here in San Francisco. So it's coming whether we want it to or not.
They're exploiting the legitimate fears that the community has about public safety issues, and they're using it to grab power and hand more unilateral authority to the police department. We think it's a really misguided approach. It's about politics and not public safety.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.